I also use Zoom as well if they want to be a little bit more in depth. But yes, Loom is great. Go ahead.
That's a really good breakdown of Loom there. So yeah, and my pushback as well is to people that say, well, it's going to take a long time and this, that, and the other to do video reports. But would you rather spend 30 to 45 minutes to an hour on a call with a client, or would you rather spend 10, 15 minutes recording a Loom video for them? So it minimizes, the need for a meeting, the need for a call. I'm not a big fan of meetings. I'm not a big fan of calls. Don't get me wrong. If my clients want to have a call with me, I'm so open to that. I don't mind, not a problem. But most of the time in meetings, you just have meetings for meeting's sake. Not a lot of stuff gets done. I don't remember half the stuff, so it's good that there's these AI kind of things to take notes, but I don't even use that. So most of the time, what I'm trying to say is when I record a video report, a lot of people just say, "Yep, great, carry on." So it kind of minimizes that need for a call.
Hello, everyone. It's Gene from the PPC Cave, and we're back again, me and Ryan together. Say hello, Ryan.
Hi guys, how we doing?
We're doing great because today we have another episode and we're talking about Google Ads Reports 2025, the right and wrong way. This is part of our how to get started as a Google Ads freelancer slash agency. And it's really important for us to kind of go through this because we want to provide varied content for y'all. It doesn't always have to be in the Google Ads account optimization, deep content. This is more surface level, and you don't really have to be a Google Ads freelancer or PPC manager to take some of these things and apply it in your own client and yours life. You could be someone totally different, maybe an SEO or maybe a social media. You just have to basically have reports and analysis. So yeah. Before I get into the intro, Ryan, do you want to talk about anything, or how's it going with you?
Yeah, things are going good with me, and it's good to be recording with you again, my friend. So yeah, it's always good fun, and yeah, reports. It's that one kind of connection between you and the client. Obviously, if you're a competent Google Ads account manager, you'll check in with the client and answer any questions they have through emails, maybe jump on a call with them. But for the most part, if you do reporting right, then you should minimize any phone calls that you need or minimize any, what's the word? Any correspondence, I guess, because they just see what you're doing, then you can crack on with it, and they just trust you to do the thing. So, it's that bridging the gap between what we do as specialists and bridging that gap between their understanding as well. So, yeah, I think we should just get straight into it, Gene.
Yeah, and we can go straight into the intro. I mean, reporting to clients, as Ryan said, is crucial because that is your connection to your specific client. But most of the time, it becomes overcomplicated because what we're actually reporting, is very nuanced and detailed. And sometimes we don't just give one metric. There's multiple metrics and multiple statistics that bounce off each other. And we're, continuing to figure out, okay, what does the client understand? And what are some must-have metrics that a specific client in a field or lead gen versus e-commerce need to have? I think that's super important that we don't data overload and we provide the points that are relevant and transparent, with our clients. But like I said, this is really important for people that are looking to get started or maybe, enhance the way they do freelancing with Google Ads clients or an agency. It's just really building that trust. And if you can build that trust and report the right way, you can really see the longevity of the clients begin to increase and the retention really just kind of stay on. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Ryan, if you want to start it off and we could just go back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. So, for me, I think it's about which medium you choose to report with, because there's so many different ones out there. Obviously, there's things like Data Studio, which has now been renamed to Looker Studio, which is more of a written PDF type of report. And what's good about that is for people that don't know, it's an interactive report. So when you've got something on screen, you can interact with it. You can change the time period. You could look at different statistics, and different data points, which is really good. I typically don't use Looker Studio anymore. I did for a long time when it was Data Studio, and pretty much around the same time when they renamed to Looker Studio, I basically stopped using it. And nothing to Looker Studio, it's a great piece of software and it's really good for reporting. But I just think for me, there's more interactive ways that you can report. And I always like to use Loom. So video reporting for me is huge. Because I talk about bridging that gap between us, what we do, and the client. Showing people is much better than a written kind of thing. Most people are visual learners anyway, so if you show them, okay, this is what I've been working on, this is why I have been working on it, this was my expected outcome, and this is what actually happened. If you can address that and put it in layman's terms for your client to understand, then it's going to really seriously have a positive impact, not only in the trust between the client and you, who's managing their account, but you're coming off as a market leader, like a knowledge leader, if you like, that you know your stuff because you're demonstrating your competence. You're walking through the results that have been over the last 30 days, walking through the results that you've had, what you've been working on, this, that, and the other. So, they see you as a professional, which is great. It builds that trust. And B, they see firsthand that work is being done inside the account. Like you're not just sitting on your hands and doing nothing. You're actually actively trying to improve results and push the barrier and things like that. So definitely, I'm a big advocate for video reports. Things such as Loom. I use JumpShare for quite a while as well. That's another good piece of software. But most people use Loom, and Loom is really good. So I definitely would recommend that if you are going to do video reports. However, the downside to video reporting is when you start to get 20, 25 clients, things like that, it takes a few days to get through all the reports to do that. Because if you're doing like a 5, 10, 15, 30-minute video, it can take a lot of time. So for me, I try and keep the reports around 5 to 10 minutes long. But when you have so many client accounts, it can take a long time. So, Gene, do you do anything with Loom in terms of video reporting?
Yeah, and I do agree. I definitely do a lot with Loom now. Ryan kind of put me on to Loom back then in like 2017, 2018 when I started to do more clients. I used to actually just use Canva. I used Canva and I would do like a video overview, but I would do it in DaVinci, which is like, it's what we use to edit podcast video and stuff like that. So now that you just can pull up loom.com and it could go onto the browser as like almost an extension and record it and send the link and store it on Loom. Man, I think Loom should be paying us right now if there's people out there that are gonna switch to Loom. But yeah,
Paid
Loom is
sponsorship.
exactly, we need that sponsorship money. But I think Loom is great. And Ryan made a good point. It can take a lot of time, sometimes, especially if you have a lot of clients. But what I usually do in the beginning is I go bare bones with how I report on Loom. Most of the time, we talk about Data Looker Studio or even Google Ana GA4 reports or even Google Ads reports. But I would go so far to just have the most basic last 7 days, last 14 days. Here are the campaigns. Here's the ROAS or the CPA or the cost per conversion. This is what we're doing, and this is what to expect in the future. And if you can tell, there are different clients out there. They are kind of a little bit more inquisitive. And then I'll start to break out the big boys, the big guns. And be like, okay, you're kind of asking about these things. It's probably easier. I just give you a dashboard on Looker, just because it's real time data, and you could access that. You could give that to your team, and here's a link for that. But I try to be as generic as an executive overview as possible, because most of the time clients are looking to hand this off to us so they don't have to learn it. They can just say, oh, Gene spent this, I received this. That's great. And I do have a lot of clients, and a majority of my clients are like that. And that's probably because me and Ryan have been in the game for a while and we know how to vet clients to be that way, and we won't take clients the other way. So I think it is, yeah, I definitely think Loom is a great way to do that style of reporting. I also use Zoom as well if they want to be a little bit more in depth. But yes, Loom is great. Go ahead.
That's a really good breakdown of Loom there. So yeah, and my pushback as well is to people that say, well, it's going to take a long time and this, that, and the other to do video reports, but would you rather spend 30 to 45 minutes to an hour on a call with a client, or would you rather spend 10, 15 minutes recording a Loom video for them? So it minimizes, the need for a meeting, the need for a call. I'm not a big fan of meetings. I'm not a big fan of calls. Don't get me wrong. If my clients want to have a call with me, I'm so open to that. I don't mind, not a problem. But most of the time in meetings, you just have meetings for meeting's sake. Not a lot of stuff gets done. I don't remember half the stuff, so it's good that there's these AI kind of things to take notes, but I don't even use that. So most of the time, what I'm trying to say is when I record a video report, a lot of people just say, "Yep, great, carry on." So it kind of minimizes that need for a call, which is really good. So yeah, would definitely be a big advocate of Loom. Would recommend it. Um, and what does it look like? Well, when you go through, I take it from a top level kind of thing. So I'll look at the last 30 days. Typically, it's a monthly report. So I'll look at the last month and say, right, this is what I've been working on. This is why I've been working on it. And like I said, this is what I was hoping to achieve. It hasn't gone a certain way. So this is what I'm going to try next month, this, that, and the other. Let me know if you have any questions. And it's that kind of breakdown. For lead generation, we're looking at things like cost per acquisition. So cost per conversion. We're looking at click-through rate, conversion rate. We're looking at search impression share, all those really good metrics, and walking through with the client, like, has it changed much? Has there been an increase, a decrease? What am I doing to kind of manage that and make an impact? So yeah, that's kind of how it looks when I do my video reports. And then what's great with Loom as well, they can leave comments directly on the video. I have got a couple of clients that leave comments directly on the video, makes things super easy. So if I forget anything, I can go back in and see where they've added a comment at which part of the video, and then it just refreshes my memory. So that's really cool. It becomes quite engaging and interacting in that point on a different level. So it's really cool. But of course, I'll finish this off and let Gene kind of touch on this point as well. But there's also a wrong way to kind of do reports, which is, in my opinion, scheduling a meeting, having a phone call, and running through the data with them over the phone or in a meeting, because they're probably not going to remember it. They're probably too much information overload all at once. So phone calls, Zoom meetings and things like that, it's just too much. And, personally for me, I don't think we should be using things like written reports anymore. I don't think we should be using things like Google Sheets, Google Docs, Looker Studio anymore for reports. We're in 2025 at the moment. Social media like TikTok and Instagram, they are front and center in terms of how people digest content these days. And it'll be interesting to see. And obviously, we're kind of moving towards AI as well, but it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of shapes the future of advertising a little bit. So for me, we shouldn't be using written stuff anymore. We should be using video, because it's like second nature to a lot of people now. Video is on the up. Things like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, all that kind of stuff. I think gone are the days where people want to see a written report. Don't get me wrong, there are probably some people, old school people, that probably do like that. But for me, I'd much rather send a video report so they can see it in their own time when they want to see it, and digest it properly. So yeah, the only last thing I've put on my notes for the whole thing about video reports is, don't try and bullshit people. Be open and honest and transparent. If you've had a crap month, just put your hands up and say, look, I'll call it what it is. We've had a rough month. It's not gone the way we expected. I think it could be seasonality. I think it could be because, Chinese New Year, a lot of factories have just closed down. It could be because, we're in January, February, and it's the hangover after Christmas where everybody's spent up, everybody's trying to kind of build their money back up, and now we're thinking about summer holidays like vacation, things like that. So don't try and bullshit people. Be open and honest, and I think people will respect you more if you do that rather than if you try and lie to them. A lot of my experience in-house agencies was that way. A lot of managing directors, a lot of higher ups always wanted to, what's the word, kind of fabricate the results, swing things in the favor of these look good, focus on the metrics like impressions have gone up, clicks have increased, don't touch on the fact that conversion rate has dropped or sales have dropped. Ignore those things. Focus on what's good, so and lots of like lying to the client, which I never liked. For me, I'd rather treat my clients with respect and be open and honest about the data, because otherwise it's going to come around to bite you on the ass. So that's kind of my 2 cents there. Gene, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to be transparent. This is why we're reporting, is not to say we did such a good job. Ryan is the best PPC manager. Gene is the best. It's to be absolutely honest and be transparent. Is the return in this last month worth the spend from the client? And if so, this is what we're going to do to enhance that or scale that or monitor that or analyze the catalyst. Or if it's not, then this is what we're going to do to change that, to analyze that, and to monitor the catalyst of why it's being bad or a bad month. So I definitely agree that honesty and transparency is the right way. The wrong way, the don't, is to over complicate things or maybe even pull wool over a client's eyes, and you be like, look at this guy. This is you got a lot of impressions, but over here is the terrible cost per conversion. So just be upfront. That is the best way to do business as a freelancer. I've lost clients because I couldn't figure it out in the time or budget that they had in mind. I've lost clients because I did, and I've done really well. It does not change how I report. I will report the same way if you are doing great or if you're doing bad. So any last points before I kind of get into my portion quickly, Ryan?
No, I'm excited to see what you've got up your sleeve, and yeah, I think we should crack on, get on with it. It sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of discussed, I kind of interjected my first point, with Ryan's first point of just dashboard or audit walkthrough video style. And Ryan is very adamant that he doesn't use Looker Studio anymore and or Google Ads reports as much. I wouldn't say zero, but as much. Big proponent of Loom, Ryan is, and I am the same way. I only use Looker Studio if they ask for it. And most of the time I am looking on Looker Studio because there are some blended data templates that I use to just see GA4 and Google Ads live in the same place. I think visualization package would perhaps be a little bit more of a positive for a PPC manager that understands all these bells and whistles than it is someone that's actually green or does not know what all these data points are. Or if you're getting outsourced private label, I get this a lot too. They're like, hey, I'm the digital marketing guy for my company. I need a quarterly report. Just put something up there, and I'll do that too. So, but that's essentially what I do for that Looker Studio. But like I said before, I don't want to overcomplicate things. If they're cool with the cost per conversions or CPA or ROAS, and just breaking down the top spending campaigns and what I'm doing with that, that's all I'm going to report. I'm taking a screenshot and that's what we're going over. I'm just looking at those last 7, 14, 30 days. So we try to keep it as very simple. If they ask for more, oblige, because that is the client's money. Any thoughts before I move on to the next point, Ryan?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, to be
Okay.
honest. And listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say you shouldn't, report through like Looker Studio or anything like that. I think the fact that you're reporting at all is good, rather than just radio silence. So, I think you should keep going because this is good stuff.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. And the next point is just the client expectations as we've discussed. Every client is going to be different. Everything that they're doing, the load of what they're doing, maybe they're trying to open up a new channel on TikTok shop or something in e-commerce. So they could be super busy. So sometimes you have to match what they want as reporting. I have clients that I don't even talk to and they're just paying the invoice every month. And that is, not every client, even though sure me and Ryan would love that, but we have to perform. That's why they're like that. So there could be a client in the very early months where credibility or trust isn't built yet. So maybe you have to do a little bit more hand holding and gradually they'll wean off of asking for a report here and there, but just match that energy and the client expectation, because I promise you, if it is a good relationship, it will pan out and it will somehow some way gradually go to the other side where they're less involved or less asking of reports and looms or whatever it may be. But the must-have metrics, as Ryan talked about for lead gen, is of course cost per conversion and CPA. But for ecom, it's just return on ad spend and conversion value over costs. And I think this is the first thing that you have to really establish in that very first report with the client is provide them the information of what this metric means and what the breakdown is. That's why I don't really like using the ROAS, the actual ROAS. I like using conversion value over cost because that puts it in the client's head. Conversion value is the sales, cost is what we spend. Divide conversion value over cost. That's going to be a whole number, and you could times that by 100 to get the return on ad spend. But I still give them the ROAS in conversion value over cost, just to make sure we're on the same page. Every $1 that we're spent, we're getting 4 in conversion value, every $5, so on and so forth. Just giving them a little piece of that lingo that I believe, Ryan believes too, because he talked about cost per conversion and CPA. That's the baseline of profitability when it comes to reporting. So at least if anything, report that. Don't report, you can report impressions on a new campaign, but don't be too granular. Give them the metrics that count, that matter, right? And that'll save you a lot of time, a lot of explaining. Any thoughts before I move on to my last one?
No, I think you're definitely on the money. I think if it goes back to I think what I was saying originally, just being open and transparent. If you give them the data that they want, what we're trying to do here is show them work is happening inside, the Google Ads account. Okay, so whether that is through Loom and video reporting, whether that is through Looker Studio, it's all the same thing. It's about trying to get them to understand this is what we're doing. These are the metrics we're talking about that you care about, and basically providing an executive summary. Like I said, everyone's busy. That's why they don't want to manage their own Google Ads account. They might not have the knowledge, they might not have the time, but the main point is that they've got better things to do, right, than sit around and manage their own Google Ads account. That's why they're working with us. So that's why we need to kind of provide them that top level summary. This is how it's gone. These are the metrics, what they look like. This is what I'm going to do next month, and go on from that. So yeah, Gene, you're on the money, my friend, and it's sounding really good. So I think you should keep going.
Thank you. Yeah, and just the last point, we don't have to go too long, but those were the do's, right? And this is an episode about do's and don'ts. The don'ts is Ryan established this earlier is frequent reporting. When I'm getting a lot of emails from somebody, I'm thinking that either something is wrong or there's no confidence there. So the fact that if they're not asking for a report, or you did not establish in a scope of work that you will report weekly or daily, I don't know why you would do that, and only monthly, then just let it be and do your work, but still check in and, feel that, client expectation or with their expectation, kind of have a feel for it, because a lot of the times if you over report, a client's like, why do they have confidence in what they're doing? Why are they over reporting things that don't matter? A lot of the times, Ryan is correct. A lot of the times, these clients are super busy and they're just looking for the result. They're just looking for the bottom line. Are we positive on return on investment? The investment being your client fee and the budget that we're putting into Google Ads and anything along with it. So don't report frequently if they're not asking that, So another thing, like we mentioned before, don't overcomplicate. It's easy to overcomplicate or understand too much, but the client, you trying to give that to the client to communicate to the client understands nothing. It's really difficult because we look at these metrics every day and we're like, the client should understand this, but most of the time it's going to bring more confusion. It's going to ask more questions. Understand in every niche, there's going to be specifics that a client wants to see. And you'll only get that with experience. I feel like you'll only understand when you're being too complicated in reporting with the experience that you have. The more clients you get under your belt, you understand, okay, I don't need to be telling them about lost impression share due to rank right now. Maybe that's for later, so be simple, but be transparent. And another thing, my last wrong way, and don't, so do the opposite of this, is not asking the client for reporting for feedback, not asking the client how we are reporting. Is this good? Is this can I add any more on here? Can I explain or break down a little bit more here? And most of the time they'll be like, no, this is fine. Just because you're being proactive already, that is leaps and bounds, as Ryan mentioned earlier. Sometimes an agency isn't going to report, or sometimes an agency is going to report, numbers that are skewed. And not trying to, bash agencies here, but we're just being honest. This is what you get from freelancers, because I believe as a freelancer, we have more connection. It's not about, okay, how can I upsell my client right now? Or how can I get the next client? Even though we think about those things, it's what can be beneficial to the client. And I'm not saying all freelancers are like us. You're going to get bad eggs, just like in everything in life. But, asking for feedback on the report, just be like, hey, if there's anything, what I always say, if there's any other questions or concerns about the data, just let me know. And that, in my opinion, suffices for asking for feedback. But yeah, any last thoughts, Ryan, before we close it out?
Yeah, I got 3 points. So, just on the point where you were talking about keeping things kind of easy to understand, layman's terms, I would say as a little tip, try and, do it where you're explaining to your mom, you want to kind of, or your mom, I guess you could say, right? Just try and
Yeah.
get it and break it down that she could understand it. So you don't want to give it too much like metric specifics. I sometimes like to go into search impression share, but it's client dependent. Some want to hear about it, some people don't. So, excuse me. I will tailor my audits. I will tailor my reports to the client and the individual because I know that's what they want to hear about. This is what they're interested in. That's fine. But for a general rule of thumb, try and explain it like as if you was talking to your mom or mom, I guess. So that's point number one. And point number two, I was going to say is don't just leave it at that. If you have a big win inside an account, like if you think, wow, this week, we've absolutely killed it. We've had like 50 conversions or something like that. Share that with the client. Say, look, this is, what we've been working on. And, I'm really pleased at how this paid off. And, I just wanted to share this big win with you. If it's 2 weeks into a new campaign setup and they've already got, getting some really good traction going in terms of conversions, then share that with the client because all that's going to do is fuel that confidence in you as the account manager. So yeah, definitely share big wins as well. So don't just keep it to, I'm going to speak to this client when I invoice them, when I send them monthly reports, and maybe on the phone, but share the big wins, and things like that. And maybe in some cases, depending on the relationship with the client, share the losses too. hold your hands up and say, look, I tried this bidding strategy. It didn't quite work out. So I want to be the first one to say that, or maybe you've noticed that, inside Merchant Center, the products have dropped from like 500 to 100. I just wanted to check in and make sure everything was okay on your side. What is the cause of the sudden drop? Maybe it's different suppliers, or maybe it's a change of factories, or whatever it might be, right? So things like that can also help. And then the third point I was going to make as well is really about that agency kind of mentality. And I think, if you're a business owner listening to this or watching this, I think you're better off working with a freelancer, because Gene and I genuinely care, right? We have chosen this as a career path. We are giving it our all. We are businesses just trying to make money like everybody else, but the difference is, well, some people love what they do. Some people just do it for a job, for work. Gene and I, what we do for Google Ads, we love to do. We're kind of geeks, kind of nerds, and we've chosen this for ourselves, chosen this kind of lifestyle for ourselves. Whereas in-house, you could get anyone managing your account. They don't really care potentially if you do well or not. They're still going to get paid at the end of the month. So that's the differences, and you might get someone who is fresh out of college or university. They're doing like a stopgap, like a year in between things. They don't really care about Google Ads, or they don't care about SEO or anything like that. They just wanted a job for now until something else comes along. And that's the difference. And, they might be given light training and you pay a premium for the agency. Yeah, you might get web design, SEO, PPC, all that kind of stuff. But how much do they actually care? And how much have you been swindled by the sales guy into paying a retainer versus working with specialized freelancers who have carved out a niche for themselves in this business, in this industry, who actively record content, who actively look at the latest news, tips, tricks from Google, who are actively trying to increase performance for their own clients. So yeah, just as a heads up, I think because we were talking a little bit there about agency side as well, have a think, if you're a business owner and you're looking to get into Google Ads, have a think whether you want to go agency or freelancer specialist. So yeah, that's all I was going to say on that point.
Yeah, that's a
A little
valid
bit of a
point.
rant from me.
I love it. I love the passion. The passion definitely showed there. Uh,
Thank you.
and yeah, closing it out, this is what we do. Me and Ryan put money, time, effort into the PPC Cave. We don't get paid for it. But we believe that it not only helps other people, it could be clients in the future, businesses, agencies that maybe watch this that are looking to, get more information. But I think it helps us as well to really stay connected, on top, and relevant with what's going on in a ever-changing landscape of both Google Ads, and just internet in general. So I do encourage y'all to subscribe to the PPC Cave. We're on TikTok, IG Reels, YouTube Reels. Take a look, and see if you would like to stick around. And if you learn something, comment and like and engage and share. It's really nice. We got one email from a gentleman named Vince. Shout out Vince. I don't know if you're listening, but inquiring for us to perhaps do some collaborations in the future. We'd love to get more of that and to help y'all as we do showcase our expertise and our experience here, because we do genuinely want to help. I can't speak for agencies, but I could speak for us. And I believe every client that we onboard or discuss or have a meeting with, it's not just like us trying to churn in and out the clients and the volume. It's really about what's a good fit for us, because Ryan, I'll tell you, there's some clients that were like, it's not a good fit for us right now, or it's not a good fit for you right now, because you got some things you need to handle. And we'll be very, very upfront and frank and let you know, hey, maybe you do something else for now, maybe work on the website, but after, reach out. So again, it's the PPC Cave at gmail.com if you have any questions or inquiries for either me and Ryan. And we post every Monday at 12 a.m. Mountain Time. We don't ever miss one. So you could bank on that and count on that. And I think that does reflect on our just responsiveness and being responsible and committed. And yeah, if there's nothing else, oh, wait, real quick, you can find Ryan Fenton at ryanfenton.co.uk or
Yeah, right.
ryanfentonppc.co.uk.
Yeah, you guys say .co? You don't say
Yeah, it's
.co?
dot co
Yeah,
dot uk.
so you could. I'll do it. Amateur over here. Who am I recording with? No, to be fair, if you're actually if you're listening in on Spotify, see if you can like log on to YouTube. Gene's looking really good today. He's been hitting the gym. He's been playing basketball nonstop. Style is looking really good. Really nice necklace as well. So yeah, take a look at that. Kudos to him. But yeah, anyway, getting back on it, you can find me at ryanfentonppc.co.uk. And Gene, where can people find you?
GeneVillanos.com.
Cool. And as Gene was going to say, if there's nothing else, we'll see everybody next time. Take care.